The discussion around DEI had become increasingly fractious, polarized, politicized, and frankly, quite disconnected from the starting point for many of us working on these topics, which is that we want to see the best talent and the best performing teams. So last year, 2024, the Diversity Project decided that we would go right back to the beginning, and we would commission research to look at any linkage between cognitive diversity, which we described in the broadest sense as being different ways of thinking. So that might be attributable to experience, background, education, might have something to do with demographics, but it's quite distinct about ways of thinking. So we wanted to explore, is there any linkage between cognitive diversity of a team and its investment performance? So we issued a briefing, asked academics around the world to submit their proposals around how they would conduct the research. And importantly, we asked them not to work back from any conclusion that they thought we might want to see, because we're called the Diversity Project, but to tell us what the evidence showed us. And we were thrilled, of course, that we had many submissions from around the world, as far away as New Zealand, some very interesting different ideas about how to conduct the research. And for reasons that will hopefully become clear, Alex was our obvious choice.
I was interested in working on this project for 3 reasons. First, it's on human capital, which is the most important asset in any firm. And some of my earliest research, which I started 20 years ago, was on the link between human capital and the long-term performance of companies. The second is DEI is a field in which objective evidence and clear-headed thinking is important. So there has been some pushback on some pro-DEI studies because of the methodological rigor. So if I was able to conduct a study with the highest quality of scientific research, then this would be a strong case. And the third is that it's on the asset management industry, which is critical for the repurposing of the economy. So a successful asset management industry provides returns to savers, but it also provides capital to companies and also can engage with companies to drive better performance. And also this is an industry in which I've had a lot of expertise in terms of my consulting activity. So I was thrilled and grateful when the Diversity Project entrusted me with this really important research. Research had 3 main findings. The first is that cognitive diversity has the potential to have a significant positive effect on the performance of an investment team. Why? Investment analysis involves a huge range of different perspectives. To analyze a company, you need some quantitative analysis of the financials, a qualitative analysis on the culture and strategy and leadership. You need to know about the sector, and also at the country and the region, and to have a diverse team will have a breadth of perspectives so that you'll be more informed about that particular asset. And also for investing, you need to know something which is not in the price. Great investing is contrarian investing. We need to think differently from how the rest of the market is thinking. The second finding is that sometimes you might not reach that potential because cognitive diversity comes with challenges as well. One challenge is that cognitively diverse teams may speak different languages. So somebody with a quantitative background may not fully appreciate the value of a qualitative analysis. Relatedly, a cognitively homogeneous team may share common backgrounds, they may have gone to university together, studied the same subject, and they might have strong cohesion. And finally, if cognitive diversity is misunderstood, it can lead to slow decisions if a leader thinks he or she needs to ask everybody their opinion and have decision-making by democracy, and that may well lead to expertise being diluted. But that's a nice segue to the third finding, which is the power of leadership to both harness the benefits and also overcome the challenges. For example, to have a clear purpose and a strong culture will outweigh any affinity benefits of a homogeneous background. To properly implement psychological safety, this means encouraging people to speak out and share contrarian viewpoints, but also to know when to stop the discussion and to move forward with an idea.
We have identified 6 key areas for the Diversity Project to turn this wonderful research into actions to help our members harness the benefits of cognitive diversity. So these 6 areas are firstly, and Alex has talked about this, to help our members with leadership Often people are appointed to manage a team without really being taught how to get the best out of people, particularly how to harness the benefits of cognitive diversity. So that will be our top priority. We're also going to help firms optimize hybrid working, which is obviously still relatively new. And we know that Alex is talking about small and nimble decision-making. So we want to take that into account as we help member firms move on to the next evolution of hybrid working. There are implications, thirdly, for broadening recruitment, but also, very importantly, to make sure that we keep an eye on promotions. Often we hire diverse people, but then if they don't stay, we don't get the benefits of the different ways of thinking. Fourth, it's important that we organize our diversity and inclusion efforts more around problem solving and bringing those different ideas together, rather perhaps than emphasizing demographic diversity quite so much. We care enormously about making sure underrepresented people have a chance, but we need to make sure that the discussion is around what ideas they can bring to the table. Fifth, we think it's important that we address the quality of decision-making and take that as a more conscious decision. Often firms in the investment industry are analyzing other companies' decision-making without perhaps paying a lot of attention to their own. So we're going to help our member firms be more conscious about that and perhaps to work out what are the ingredients for good decisions and also when things don't go well. And last, but by no means least, we hope that this important research will help to reset what has turned into quite an argument over DEI that bears very little relationship to improving businesses, back to the first principles, back to this idea that we all started with, that this is about improving businesses, about improving performance, and about better outcomes for clients.
The part of the research that surprised me the most was the downsides and challenges to cognitive diversity, because I always thought it's a no-brainer that we want a greater range of perspectives, but actually coordinating those different opinions is difficult. But this actually increases the value of cognitive diversity rather than being a detractor, because if this is challenging to implement, then the asset management firms who are able to implement this effectively will have a strong competitive edge compared to their peers. So this is simple, but not easy. It's simple because we know what good looks like, we know where to get to, but it's not easy because not everybody is able to get there.
So I have to say that the principal findings of the research didn't surprise me. It was very intuitive, but also it reflected my own experience from having been a fund manager and working in a culture where diverse thinking was very much encouraged. But it was a challenge to manage, both when I was managing it and when I was being managed as well. So I wasn't surprised about that, and it's very intuitive. The bit that I was surprised about, and I hope this doesn't sound too cheeky, was Alex's finding that virtually all practitioners agree that cognitive diversity had the power to improve investment results, because it's very rare that fund managers will agree about anything.
Why does this all matter? Because we need to be innovative, we need to be creative, we need to be contrarian. So that was important for me as an investment researcher. This is why I looked at corporate culture when most of my colleagues in academia were looking at quantitative stuff. And it's even more important as an investor, we need to find something which is not priced in by the market, and also the competitors who have lots of smart people, they are not noticing, maybe because the whole is not greater than the sum of its parts. And it's particularly important in an AI world. So to go one step ahead of AI, we need to highlight the power of humans. And the power of humans is our ability to have different opinions, to discuss and debate with each other, to have a variety of perspectives, but also to bring them together and to take coordinated action.
This really thoughtful and groundbreaking research really matters for a few reasons, as far as I'm concerned. Firstly, of course, the investment industry must always try to improve the decision-making, the investment results, the outcomes for clients. And this gives us many ideas around how to do that. Secondly, for me, it's really important that we can future-proof the industry. And I think, again, this sophisticated, more nuanced way of looking at diversity will help us to continue to attract and retain the best and the brightest, and then in turn to manage them well so that they can all contribute to those results. And last but by no means least, I'm really hopeful that this research is valuable for other sectors and helps reset and reframe the diversity debate.